Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. Today we're going to talk about adapt or die. Some videos ago, I had mentioned in the last part of the video about the three things that a man told me, a security guard had told me, are truths, everlasting truths of life: death, taxes, and change. And then we discussed how important it was to adapt to change, because many of these changes you have no control over. So you have to learn to adapt to them, or another way out is totally avoid the situations that we're talking about. But that may not be possible. Let me give you an example. In my case, or cases of people who are older, we did not grow up with computers. It's much easier for kids, even, or young adults who have grown up with computers, to understand how to run them and to get the results that they're looking for, and to operate very smoothly on that keyboard while doing work on the computer. It's second nature to them. Just like cursive writing. These days they don't teach cursive writing. We call that now, I used to call it longhand writing, but it's called cursive writing. They are as ignorant about that as we are about what I should say would be more advanced uses of technology. But when I said that sometimes you can't get around it, let's give an example of this. If you see an advertisement on TV, and they will refer you to a certain site, a website like xyz.com. Well, if you don't know the basics of the computer, you can't reach that website. And that's the situation. But you like the product as it's advertised to you, but you really can't. You can barely get onto the computer, much less start to navigate the computer to try to find this company online, or even better yet, to try not only to find it, but maybe to consider ordering the product. Now, sometimes they will give you, which I think is considerate, sometimes the company will give you a phone number to call. So that basically what that is, it's a way of ensuring that they still capture the older demographic. And sometimes it can be very helpful. It also can be very much easier to navigate than the computer, because sometimes the computer is not working right, or they're offline, or whatever the reason may be. And it's easier oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, to simply call them on the telephone. And frankly speaking, I would rather talk to a human being on the telephone. Now, I realize that's old-fashioned. That doesn't seem to work today. This has become a very impersonal world, not only in general with people interacting with each other, but in terms of buying something. It's very, very, very impersonal now. As I've told you before, when you go to a store, I took a class. I took a class about a year and a half ago. I audited a course at a local college. And when I wanted to go get something to eat, I noticed that it was a cashless society. And luckily I brought my credit card, but then I had to go and navigate and learn how to operate this machinery where you could order, but you had to know what to press, and somebody helped me with that, and I was able to catch on to that pretty quickly. But somebody else might have problems with it. That's an example. If you were hungry and you wanted something to eat, you had to use their system. And so you really didn't have a choice. It's either starve or learn the system. So necessity is the mother of all inventions, and it wasn't an invention, but I had to do it, and I did learn it and found out that it wasn't as hard as I thought. But there's so many other things that have come up to play in the recent years, recent decades. I mean, widespread use of computers is not that old. So it's more of a recent phenomenon. But now that's all people do. Whether it's on the phone, whether it's a desktop, whether it's a tablet, no matter what is the interface, it's still the predominant thing. It is almost assumed that you know how to use the computer, at least on an elementary level, but not always. Sometimes it becomes more difficult because it's new. We don't know. A lot of people, older people, are actually afraid of the computer. They're afraid they're going to touch the wrong button or click in the wrong thing, and that the computer's going to explode, or not. They're not really going to explode, but they're going to mess it all up, I think, is what they really fear. And they're not going to be able to get to where they want or order what they want. And so but there's no sympathy for these people. As I said, the only thing that I saw that takes that into consideration is giving a phone number to call. Now, I like to look online and look and see what's on that website to get a better idea of the whole company and where they're located and all this information that you're not going to get on an advertisement on television. So I prefer that. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you are forced into using technology or trying to use technology that you don't even know, that you don't even understand. And not only that, I always have the sensation of, at times, I said, I don't know about this, that I could possibly be ripped off and not know it. Because it's out there. I mean, we know there's been a lot of rip-offs in terms of stealing money, especially in older people, and stealing funds, transferring bank accounts, all these things that are simply not what you want to get involved with. But when you feel like you have no choice, you may try and fumble around with it and then get yourself into trouble. And you don't want to do that. So that's another case where you don't really would rather not use it, but you have no choice. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to at least get to a certain level of proficiency using a computer. And we're using the computer as an example, but there are also many other things as well that would fit into this category. But you at least have to get up to a certain level to be able to even live in the world. You have to. You have no choice. And that's just the way it is. So it's just you're not going to be able to function in the world of today unless you know at least a minimum amount of information and how to use technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. Get off that damn computer. See you next time.